God. Our God's an awesome God. God is in charge and He watches over me. Our God is great. Our God is great. My God is strong and He'll never let go of me. Our God is great. Our God is great. He's an awesome God. Bigger than my wildest dreams. Monumental love. Eternal hope for you and me. 'Cause He's an awesome God. Our God's an awesome God. Yeah. Our God is great.
Our God is awesome.
Celebrate.
Celebrate.
Our God is great.
Our God is awesome.
Celebrate.
Celebrate.
He's an awesome God. Bigger than my wildest dreams. Monumental love. Eternal hope for you and me. 'Cause He's an awesome God. Bigger than my wildest dreams. Monumental love. Eternal hope for you and me. 'Cause He's an awesome God. Our God's an awesome God. Our God's an awesome God.
Welcome to a brand new month. I'm so excited you'll be here playing along with us. That's because this month we're talking about raising our game and playing with confidence. Confidence is more than just believing you can do something. Confidence is living like you believe God is with you. When you live with that kind of confidence, you can raise your game to a whole new level. Now, last month, more adults than kids learned the memory verse. So let's start practicing it together now. Our memory verse this month is from Hebrews 13:6a. Let's read it together. So we can say boldly, "The Lord helps me. I will not be afraid." Hebrews 13:6a. Now, like always, I've got some actions to help us remember. Try and do them with me. So you're going to point to the front of your shoulder and then make a swoop and point into the other one. So we can say. You're going to hold up 4 fingers and tap them against your chin. Can say. Boldly. Now, boldly means powerful and strong. So we're going to start with 2 loose claw hands on the front of our shoulders and then pull them forward into fists. Kind of like we're taking our inside strength and pulling it into outside muscles. Boldly. Let's put that part together. So we can say boldly. Great. So what is it that we're saying? The Lord. Hey, we know that one. An L sash, shoulder to hip. Helps me. So you're going to place a thumbs up on top of an open hand and then move all of that up. Helps me. The Lord helps me. Here's part 3. I will not. So you're going to close your fist and then yank it over your shoulder. Kind of like someone's trying to drag you and you're pulling your fist away. I will not be afraid. So you're going to start with 2 closed hands, one at your chest and one at your tummy. And then someone surprised you and you're afraid. You're going to open your hands and jump them up. Be afraid. So I will not be afraid. That's it. It's way shorter than last month, but such an important thing for us to remember. Let's put it all together. So we can say boldly, the Lord helps me. I will not be afraid. And that's Hebrews 13, 6a. We can be confident knowing that each of us is a child of God. Now let's sing about that together.
Through every storm of life, I know you're by my side. So I am holding on to your promises. You are the God who holds my future, all my dreams. So I am holding on. You'll never let go of me. You gave me hope when hope was all but gone. A second chance to sing a brand new song. You opened up my eyes to see. You rescued me, rescued me. You showed the way when there was no way out. Cleared up my mind when you erased all doubt. You made me strong when I was weak. You rescued me, rescued me. Through every storm of life, I know you're by my side. So I am holding on to your promises. You are the God who holds my future, all my dreams. So I am holding on. You'll never let go of me. I'm holding on to you. You are my God. I know you'll see me through. Hey! You are my God. I'm holding on to you. You are my God. I know you'll see me through. Hey! You are my God. I'm holding on to you. You are my God. You are my God. I know you'll see me through. Hey! You are my God. I'm holding on to you. Hey! You are my God. I know you'll see me through. Hey! Through every storm of life, I know you're by my side. So I am holding on to your promises. You are the God who holds my future, all my dreams. So I am holding on. You'll never let go of me. I know you're by my side. So I am holding on to your promises. You are the God who holds my future, all my dreams. So I am holding on. You'll never let go of me. I'm holding on to you. You are my God. I know you'll see me through. Hey! You are my God. I'm holding on to you. You are my God. I know you'll see me through. Hey!
If you've been hanging with us at all this year, you probably know that we've been making our way through God's big story, the Bible. Today's lesson comes from the book of Matthew, the first book in the New Testament. Matthew is one of the 4 Gospels, the books that tell the story of Jesus' life. We're picking up in the story right after Jesus died on the cross and came back to life. Over the next 40 days, Jesus appeared to more than 500 of his friends and followers. Now, let's see how many of you already know this. I'll ask a question and you shout out which is correct. Now, Jesus had told his disciples to meet him somewhere. Where did he tell them to meet? A, at the top of a mountain, B, at the local diner, C, by the river, or D, in a deep, dark cave? Can you shout it out so I can tell? They actually met Jesus on a mountaintop. So if you voted A, you're right. When the disciples met Jesus at the top of the mountain, he gave them a big job to do. What do you think that job was? A, to heal everyone who was sick. B, to buy fish and bread for everyone in Jerusalem. C, to tell others about him. Or D, to hike down the mountain backwards. Shout out what you think your answer is. Let's see what Jesus told the disciples. He said, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. So you must go and make disciples of all nations. Baptize them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Teach them to obey everything I have commanded you. And you can be sure that I am always with you to the very end." So if you shouted out, "See, you're right," Jesus gave the disciples the huge task of telling others about him and what he had done for the world. But Jesus knew the disciples would need help with such a big job. One day, while he and the disciples were eating together, Jesus gave them some more instructions for the task. What do you think those instructions were? A, to leave Jerusalem right away. B, to wait for the Holy Spirit to arrive. C, to open a hotel. Or D, to do a gift exchange. Let's see what Jesus actually said. "Do not leave Jerusalem. Wait for the gift my Father promised. You have heard me talk about it. John baptized with water, but in a few days you will be baptized with the Holy Spirit." If you picked B, you're right. Jesus asked his disciples to wait in Jerusalem for the Holy Spirit to arrive. Jesus' friends knew that baptism was a sign of new life and a decision to change, but they had no idea what it meant to be baptized with the Holy Spirit. Jesus then said, "You will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you. Then you will tell people about me in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria, and you will even tell other people about me from one end of the earth to the other." There it was again. Jesus wanted his followers to take his story from one end of the earth to the other, and somehow the Holy Spirit would help them do it. Jesus lifted up his hands and gave a special blessing. Then something incredible happened. What do you think that was? A, Jesus healed a woman nearby. B, the disciples started a dance party. C, Jesus was lifted up in the sky. Or D, people started bringing their kids to Jesus for a blessing. Shout it out. If you chose C, you're right. It was wild. Jesus was lifted toward heaven. The disciples watched in amazement until a cloud hid him from their view. After Jesus ascended out of sight, then what happened? A, 2 men appeared. B, a snowstorm rolled in. C, hundreds of angels filled the sky. Or D, the disciples ran away in fear. I can't hear you. Now this is a tricky one. If you chose A, you're right. 2 men in white clothing suddenly appeared beside the disciples. Listen to what these men said to them. "Men of Galilee, why do you stand here looking at the sky? Jesus has been taken away from you into heaven, but he will come back in the same way you saw him go." The disciples were full of joy as they returned to Jerusalem. Of course, the disciples would go on to begin the big job Jesus had given them, to share the good news about Jesus with the whole world. Like Jesus said, soon they would have the Holy Spirit to help them. And you know what? The job Jesus gave the disciples is the same job we get to do today. We get to tell other people about Jesus. We can do that with our words, and just as importantly, we can share about Jesus by showing God's love to other people. Here's what we need to remember today. Share God's love with others. We can do that with confidence because we know that God is with us. We can share God's love with everyone we see. Share God's love with others. Say that with me. Share God's love with others. Jesus told his followers, which includes us, to make disciples wherever we go. That just means we tell people about Jesus and try to live the way he lived, by loving God and loving others in everything we do. We can live with confidence because we know that God is with us. With God's help, we can live the way Jesus taught us to live. And as other people see the difference Jesus makes in our life, they might want to know more about Jesus too. Whatever you do, wherever you go, share God's love with others. Let's head to small group and talk about what that might look like in our own lives.